So, my dear friends, we are gathered together in a very special way to celebrate the Vigil rites. Now, this is in preparation and for the resurrection itself of the Lord. So, Vigil, it's a period of awaiting now for His resurrection. It's called, this is the most important vigil in the church liturgy, in the church life. It's called the Mother of Vigils, the Mother of Vigils. So we are gathered together this evening to try to relive the Easter story. We are being reminded that it all began early, very early in the morning while it was still dark. The evangelist John would later write that darkness is passing away and the true light is already shining. The darkness is passing away and the true light is already shining. And then later, he would try to deliver a strong message, saying, whoever loves his brothers and sisters lives in the light, and whoever prefers to hate is still in the darkness. Still in the darkness. My dear friends, we live in a world where there's so much hate today. Hate not only for one another, but hate for each other's race. There are murders. There are sufferings because of this. And over all this, we have this pandemic and all what it has entailed. Yesterday, Good Friday, we remembered the sufferings and death of the most marvelous human being the world has ever had, has ever known. And as we were reflecting on the different events leading to his execution, leading to his crucifixion, we came face to face. We encountered face to face with the dark side of human nature that led the enemies of Jesus to torture him, to humiliate him, and finally to murder him on the cross. Right now they are having the trial for the murder of Floyd. And listening to all those witnesses that have been invited to speak and to bear witness, this is very painful to hear. We see the darkness of the person who did it. And on that black day in Jerusalem, the capacity of human beings to hate, the capacity of human beings to hurt and harm one another went completely out of control. Went completely out of control. Just like what we saw recently in Washington, D.C. Just what we saw when we saw that. Inside and on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. The hate just went out of control. It's no wonder then that on Good Friday itself, darkness, we are told, came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. Until 3 in the afternoon. The sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Now, my dear friends, this struggle between light and darkness, this struggle between good and evil, is actually still going on. I've just said in the beginning what we are going through these days and what our world is going through. It is happening in the physical cosmos. It's happening in human societies. It's happening within us, within our personalities. Nevertheless, although we notice that the darkness appears to be stronger, it has never triumphed. It has never triumphed. The light is very resilient. And oftentimes, even if it is in danger of being extinguished, this light, it manages to survive and even to win many victories. The words of the famous father of modern India, Mahatma Gandhi, still ring as when he spoke them 70 years ago. No, mayroon siyang sinasabi na very, very poignant. Sinabi niya, when I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won. The way of truth and love has always won. The same truth is expressed here this evening in our Easter Vigil celebration. The night this celebration. In the singing of the Exalted at the beginning, we sang, the power of this holy night, the power of this Easter night dispels all evil, washes guilt away, restores lost innocence, and brings mourners joy. It casts out hatred. It brings us peace and humbles earthly pride. The celebration of Easter reminds us that the darkness of evil and hatred will never have the last say. It will never have the last say. Why? Because the resurrection of Jesus proclaims the ultimate triumph of light over darkness and good over evil, both in us and in our world today. Notice that Jesus was buried at sunset. Now, when we read the story of the Passion and Death, Jesus was buried at sunset as a darkness was once again creeping over the earth. Thus, to all appearances, Jesus seemed to be a victim and a failure. But on the third day afterwards, the sun came up upon him. The dawn came up upon him, and he was gone. He resurrected. He conquered death. Once again, the true light, which enlightens everyone, was cooking into the world. So it came up victorious and triumphant, alive, powerful, and influential. He is the one we are greeting today and celebrating today, the resurrected Jesus. So today we are here to celebrate this resurrection. How do we do that? By rising also from darkness and death ourselves. By rising from darkness and death ourselves. The risen Lord himself, represented by the Paschal candle in front of us, is asking us to leave behind the works of darkness. He's asking us to renounce and reject anything and everything in our lives which is dark, which is sinister, which is evil. Jesus says, let go of all this and you'll have peace. Let go. And as persons connected to him by baptism, he invites us also to walk always as children of the light in his footsteps. In his footsteps. Actually, soon we will be invited to renew our baptismal promises, which were done the first place by our godparents on the day we were baptized, but which we have renewed every now and then, especially on these vigil nights that we had celebrated already. Now we are invited once again to do the same, to reject darkness, to reject evil, and to reject sin in every shape and form. We will be invited to follow Jesus Christ from now on in a life of light, in a life of goodness, in a life of love. A life that is shaped by his own powerful example. A life that is supported and guided by the Holy Spirit, whom he first gave us at baptism and whom he gives again to us right now. So, my dear friends, let us renew our baptismal promises and renew them with all our hearts as loudly and enthusiastically as we can. Amen.